By the late 19th century, Africa was under siege. Colonial powers from Europe carved up the continent in a ruthless race for land and resources. But in one corner of East Africa, an empire refused to kneel. This is the story of the Battle of Adwa, a moment when Africa stood tall and changed history forever. The late 1800s marked the height of the scramble for Africa. European empires, Britain, France, Belgium, and more, competed to dominate the continent. They divided Africa among themselves, often with little regard for its people or cultures. By 1890, nearly all of Africa was under colonial rule. But there was one glaring exception: Ethiopia. Nestled in the Horn of Africa, Ethiopia was ruled by powerful emperors, and its people held fast to their independence. It was a land of fierce warriors, rugged mountains, and a proud history stretching back to antiquity. Italy, a newly unified European power, viewed Ethiopia as its gateway to empire. It had already colonized Eritrea and targeted Ethiopia as the next prize. But Ethiopia was no ordinary target. And this would be no ordinary conquest. The Treaty of Wuchel was supposed to establish peace between Italy and Ethiopia. But Italy twisted the words, claiming that Ethiopia. But what Italy failed to understand was this: when you fight for your land, your family, and your freedom, you fight with a power no empire can match. March 1, 1896. In the rocky valley of Adwa, one of the most decisive battles in African history began. The Italian army, confident in its firepower, was caught off guard by Ethiopia's strategy. Menelik's forces, familiar with the terrain, outflanked and overwhelmed the Italians. Thousands of Italian troops were killed, and thousands more were captured. By day's end, the Ethiopian flag stood tall over the battlefield. A European empire had been defeated on African soil. The victory at Adwa sent shockwaves around the world. For colonized Africans, it was a beacon of hope, proof that resistance was not only possible but could succeed. For Europe, it was a humbling reminder that Africa was not a land of submission. Ethiopia had defended its sovereignty and emerged victorious. The Battle of Adwa was more than a military victory. It was a statement. A moment when Africa stood tall against the forces of oppression. It was a reminder that courage, unity, and determination can change the course of history. If you believe in the power of Africa's untold stories, subscribe, like, and share this video. Because history is our strength. To understand the significance of the Battle of Adwa, one must first look at the context in which it occurred. The late 19th century was a time of aggressive European expansion into Africa, known as the Scramble for Africa. Between 1884 and 1885, European powers convened at the Berlin Conference to divide the African continent among themselves, carving out borders with little regard for the people, cultures, and histories they were displacing. By the end of the 19th century, almost all of Africa had fallen under colonial rule. Nations were stripped of their sovereignty, their resources exploited, and their people subjugated. Only two African nations remained independent: Liberia, a state founded by freed African Americans, and Ethiopia, an ancient kingdom with a proud history of resistance against foreign domination. Ethiopia's independence was a thorn in the side of European ambitions. For centuries, Ethiopia had been a symbol of African resilience, with its own unique culture, language, and Christian traditions. But as European powers expanded their empires, Ethiopia became a target, particularly for Italy, which sought to establish its colonial presence in East Africa. Italy, a relatively young nation that had only unified in 1861, was eager to join the ranks of Europe's colonial powers. While France, Britain, and Germany had carved out vast empires across Africa, Italy's efforts to establish itself as a colonial power had largely faltered. Confident in their technological superiority, the Italians believed they could intimidate the Ethiopians into submission. But Menelik II was not intimidated. In a remarkable display of leadership, he issued a call to arms, summoning warriors from across Ethiopia to defend their homeland. Tens of thousands of men and women answered the emperor's call, bringing swords, shields, and rifles to the battlefield. Some traveled for weeks, braving harsh terrain and limited resources, to join Menelik's growing army. By early 1896, Menelik had assembled a force of over 100,000 soldiers, vastly outnumbering the Italian army, which consisted of approximately 17,000 troops. However, the Ethiopians faced significant challenges. Their army was diverse, with soldiers speaking different languages and following different customs. Coordinating such a force required extraordinary leadership and discipline. Menelik and his generals devised a bold plan to confront the Italians at Adwa, a strategic location in the Tigray highlands. The terrain favored the Ethiopians, with its steep mountains and narrow passes making it difficult for the Italian forces to maneuver. Menelik's strategy relied on speed, surprise, and the element of unity, a unity forged by the shared determination to protect Ethiopia's sovereignty. At dawn on March 1, 1896, the Ethiopian army launched a massive assault on the Italian positions at Adwa. The battle was fierce and chaotic, with Ethiopian warriors charging into battle with swords and spears while others unleashed volleys of rifle fire. The Italians, caught off guard by the sheer size and determination of the Ethiopian forces, struggled to hold their ground. Ethiopian women played a crucial role in the battle, providing supplies, caring for the wounded, and even joining the fight. Their presence on the battlefield was a testament to the unity and resilience of the Ethiopian people. However, the Italian version, written in Italian, included a clause that essentially made Ethiopia a protectorate of Italy, giving the European nation control over Ethiopian foreign affairs. When Menelik II discovered the deception, he refused to accept the Italian interpretation of the treaty. For Italy, this was unacceptable. The European power, eager to assert its dominance, prepared for war, confident that its modern military would easily crush Ethiopia's forces. The Italians underestimated their opponent, and paid a heavy price. At the heart of Ethiopia's resistance was Emperor Menelik II, a brilliant strategist, skilled diplomat, and charismatic leader. Born in 1844, Menelik had spent his youth navigating the complex world of Ethiopian politics, rising to power as the ruler of the Shur region before becoming emperor in 1889. Under his leadership, Ethiopia underwent a period of modernization, including the expansion of its army and the acquisition of modern weaponry. Menelik understood the gravity of the Italian threat. He knew that Ethiopia's independence depended on its ability to present a united front against foreign aggression. To achieve this, he mobilized a vast coalition of Ethiopian forces, drawing warriors from various regions and ethnic groups. This unity was a remarkable achievement in a country as diverse as Ethiopia, where regional rivalries often posed challenges to national cohesion. Menelik also made strategic alliances with foreign powers, using diplomacy to secure weapons and support. He purchased rifles, artillery, and ammunition from Russia, France, and other nations, ensuring that Ethiopia's army would not be outmatched by Italy's modern military. By late 1895, tensions between Ethiopia and Italy had escalated into open conflict. Italian forces, led by General Oreste Baratieri, advanced into Ethiopian territory, establishing fortified positions in the northern region of Tigray. If you believe freedom of speech shouldn't be a crime, kindly subscribe, like, and share for more videos like this. Remember, Africa is not a land of submission, it is a land of resilience.